Hi guys, it's Jason with RPM. Today we're going to be installing a Maverick R mid pipe on this Maverick R that we have here on the dyno. This is just the installation video. All of our mid pipes are 3 inches, by the way. We've got a resonated version, non-resonated version, and the E-valve version. We have a proprietary gasket. We're running the stock spring hook location, stock springs. You can run your stock V-band clamp, stock heat shields on the turbo. On this one, you cannot run the factory heat shield that goes here. We do have a RPM heat blanket. If you're running a non-resonated mid pipe, you can put your heat shields back on. We don't recommend it. At most, the RPM heat blanket. Let's get started on the installation. You're gonna need to do a couple things, which is remove this heat shield that's up here. It's already removed on this car. We're gonna remove this heat shield, and we're gonna get the factory mid pipe exposed and get the O2 bung off and rip that sucker out of there. All right, so one thing I like to do is get the sway bar out of the way. You don't have to for just the mid pipe, but man, it makes it helpful. We're gonna reach in here and get these heat shields out of here. All right guys, something you're gonna notice on our car that yours probably doesn't have yet is these rivets. If you're running an RPM A2D clamp, you're gonna get a kit of rivets, and you're simply going to remove the heat shield that would normally come out to here to allow for the bigger clamp. You'll get a J-nut and bolt to secure these heat shields together. This is kind of what we recommend when you're doing a Maverick R, is to get rid of the heat shield that comes all the way out to there. It's completely unnecessary, you don't need it. Let's get the O2 bung out, then we'll move up to the springs and we'll take the V-band clamp off. All right, you guys, if you don't have a spring hook, we highly recommend one. They're available on checkout. You should have gotten one. All right, guys, we got a lot of guys whose stock V-band clamp is stuck on to their mid pipe and turbo. What we like to do is kind of come underneath here and just tap these and shake the V-band clamp loose. You can come on and hit it from this side, that side, but start on one end, then go to the middle one, and then the back one, and they shock off pretty easy. But they do get stuck. It is kind of a pain on the Can-Ams, but with a chisel and a hammer, they come off really easy. You just lightly tap them, and they fall right off. All right, guys, so we're going to put the gasket, the new RPM mid pipe. We're going to slide this puppy in there. Get it up here. Then we're gonna get the nut back on the V-band clamp, get it just barely snug so this can still move around, but it's not loose enough to fall out. We'll start putting our springs on. Once the springs are on, we'll come back down and tighten up the V-band clamp the rest of the way. All right, guys, at this time, the V-band clamp is still loose. It's important to get your springs on the muffler, kind of maybe give the muffler a little shake, let this gasket find its happy spot, and then we'll come back down and we'll tighten the V-band clamp once all the springs are installed. All right, guys, so you've got your spring hooks all on. Everything's kind of in its happy spot. Time to come down here, hit this mid pipe tight, and then we'll drop the O2 bung in. Let's get ripping. All right, guys, so as you can see, it's a super easy, super straightforward installation of the mid pipe. This installation goes with the factory muffler, and our mid pipes will fit any muffler that will actually fit to the stock mid pipe. So ours is just a stock mid pipe replacement. We just get away with doing that and making it full 3-inch with a proprietary gasket. You're good to go if you've got a heat blanket. They're super easy to install. Just 3 springs that wraps the heat blanket around it. That wraps it up. If you guys want to pick up some parts for your Maverick R, RPMSxS.com.